Australia in southern Tasmania. I'm sorry I'm a couple of minutes late. Am I a couple of minutes late? Yeah, I am a wee bit late. Spent the last 10 minutes walking around trying to find my close-up glasses. So I have absolutely no idea. Last 10 minutes walking around trying to find, although I do know my volume's working. Yeah, spent trying to find these glasses. I couldn't find them anywhere. So it's going to be interesting because I can't quite see anything at the moment. It's all a bit of a blur without my crafting glasses. But anyway, we'll plough on and we'll see how we go. So if I miss your comments this morning, it's not because I'm being rude. It's just because I'm absolutely blind. Anyway, so jump on, say hi, tell me where you're calling from, where you're watching from. It's great to know how far afield we get. And if it's your first time, please yell out as well. So it's great to have new people on as well as familiar faces. Okay, today we're going to be featuring a couple of newish products, but I'm also going to be showing the ladies who pop along to my Come Craft With Me session on the 21st of February. I think it is, Tuesday the 21st, how to make the card base for that particular session. So if you're popping along and you're a bit worried or a bit confused by my instructions in the event, rest assured that today I'll make the card for you so you can see how to do it. It's called a Faux centre step card, faux being false. So it's a easier take on a centre step card. Centre step cards, I don't know, I've made them in the past. You have one piece of cardstock, and you have a series of scores and centre cuts that sort of get you this look, but it's a little bit more complicated to cut and score. With this one, it's called false. It's called faux, because you actually don't have all that intricate internal cutting. So it's basically two pieces of cardstock scored and glued together. So we'll do this, and I don't think you really lose anything without all that complicated internal scoring. So yeah, if anyone finds that it gets really, really blurry today, can you please pop it in the comments for me, although there'll be a bit of a delay. As I say, without my glasses, everything's a bit blurry, so I just won't pick up on if the camera struggles. I might turn the lights on just in case. We'll get some light on. That usually means that the camera will behave itself. I did hear something cluttering down the back of my desk before. I'm wondering whether that might be my glasses, but anyway, I'll search for them again after we're finished here today. So I'm using, as I say, this faux centre step design fold, and I'm also using my stamp set of the month, or my bundle of the month, which is the Fragrant flowers. So this set is going to be the topic of my product class this month, which I will release officially next week once I finish cutting my fun fold class. But anyway, yeah, so this is the subject of lots of classes this month, or lots of videos this month, just to show how versatile it can be. I might actually show you the cards from the class as a little sneak peek as we go towards the end of the video. Okay, but here, this is what we're going to be making. Uses the beautiful big central image from the stamp set, cut out obviously with the dies, using the Hello Love from the stamp set as well, and the wonderful designer series paper, which is a celebration freebie. So with any purchase of $90, you can pick up this beautiful matching paper, but that's only till the end of this month, the end of February. Okay, so let's go. I'll actually cut the card base for you so you can see it. Now, hopefully we can get my trimmer in so it's absolutely actually useful. I wonder if I get rid of that little, a bit late to get rid of that little spill thing, that little buy with me thing down the bottom. But anyway, hopefully we'll be able to see that, or else this is just not particularly useful, is it? I might actually, bear with me while I wobble things around a bit. If I take my camera up a wee bit, you'll be able to see more of the trimmer. There we are. and my tummy. There's my tummy there. But anyway, that's okay. Can't be helped. If I take that back a wee bit now, you'll be able to see more of the trimmer, which will probably be helpful. We can always move it back down again later. Okay, so you're going to need a full sheet, A4 sheet of just cardstock to do this card base. This is Evening Evergreen. Now, Evening Evergreen is one of our current 21, 23 in colours, so we're actually going to lose stocks of Evening Evergreen at the end of April this year. So if you love it with all the other in colours, please make sure you grab your supplies and your ink pads and your refills and all those things that we need to keep us going with our favourite colours. Okay, so the card base starts with, as I say, a full A4 piece. We're going to start with the first cut is at 4 1/4 wide, which, looking at my thing here, is 10.8 centimetres. So that's our first cut, and we need this one to be, just put my side thing out, 10 inches long. So 10 inches long, which by that is 25.4 by the looks of things, centimetres. And this one we score at, I have to remind myself, just bear with me for a minute. I'm going to get it right so I don't confuse everybody as well as myself. So we score this one at 3.5, 7 and 8.5. Yeah, so 3.5 inches, which is 8.9 centimetres. 7 inches, which looks like it's 17.8. And then at 8.5, which looks like about 21.6. Don't get your scoring blade and your cutting blade mixed up there. So 3.5, 7 and 10.5, and that actually creates that sort of Z, well, it's a bit more than a Z, M fold there. So that's what we've got there. So that's the first part, that's the base of our cut. The second piece of cardstock, you can use the rest of your A4 piece, is 8.5 by 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, which looks like it's pretty much exactly on 7 centimetres. And that one's got to be 8.5, which is 21.6 centimetres. And you score this one at 3 exactly. So exactly 3 inches, which looks like it's about 7.6 centimetres. Is that 3? Scored at 3. Is that 8.5? 8.5, scored at 3. Okay, just checking myself there because that does not quite look right. So that's the back half of our false step card. So what actually happens is you glue those two together. That one, the long one, goes at the front, and then the little short one just dips in behind, and you glue it at the back, and that gives us that shape that we're after. Okay, so I'll pop my trimmer away, and I might actually bring my camera back down a wee bit, just so you can see a little bit of the detail and not so much of my messy desk. Okay, so there we are. If I haven't gone and made it impossible, there we are. Just straighten that up a bit, take that back, actually bring it forward. There we are. Oh. Okay, so you can see a little bit more detail now. So you've got those two pieces of cardstock, and that's as far as you need with your, well, yeah, that's your scoring and folding. So I'm just checking there. Okay, so now we get the fun bit, we actually get to decorate. So what I would suggest before you go any further with anything here is to burnish the folds. Really important, because once you get to the point where you realise that they're not sharp, it's too late. you've got everything on there and you can't get to them. So just burnish all those folds so they're nice and sharp. Okay, there we are. So we can rim in our designer series paper now, and I have already cut the designer series paper and the measurements are in the event. So if you're keen to come along to our event on the, what day did we say, 21st, just pop into my Facebook page and the event is there. So these are, as I mentioned, the beautiful favoured flowers from our celebration freebies, and I'm just going to use those. They complement this beautiful evening evergreen cardstock quite nicely. This paper also matches really well with black. If you aren't opposed to black card bases, then you can get away with some lovely black, stunning card bases here. So I'm going to pop that side. So it's the same side of the same paper. So it's just the one sheet of paper I'm using. That's the front of it and that's the back, and we're using the back on there, just not to crowd our little flowers too much. So I've got these ones cut as well. This one goes on the front. Obviously it's cut perfectly sized. I'm going to use the flowery side here. Now I have a slight variation here from the event, and it's quite valid and you can do it both ways. I might add this variation to the event itself. I'll show you what I mean. In the actual event directions, you can see here we've just got a little slither of cardstock on this side and a little slither of cardstock on that side with just plain cardstock showing there. So that's quite good if you've only got a limited amount of the paper that you're using, or you say using a 6x6 or something piece of cardstock and you want to get it out of one piece. If you have as much of this designer series paper as I have, just basically use the whole sheet and cover the whole piece, which is what I'm going to do here. So this original basically just has I think it's 7/8 of an inch little slither either side, which you only see it. It looks complete from the front, so there's no great trauma. But I do have enough of this designer series paper to, what's the saying, choke a horse. Not that I would choke a horse, please don't write to me. Yes, but I have a lot of it, so I'm not going to bother too much trying to save it. I will use it with relish. Okay, and I'm just popping that there. So that's on the front facing segments of our little step there. Okay. And there we are. So now you can pop these two together. This front one, as we mentioned, the front one will fit on the front section of our step there. So you do lose either side of that, but it's not too much of a problem. As I say, I have plenty. So I'm just going to pop just a wee bit of glue on the bottom section there. I'm going to do them one at a time. I just find it easier to just stick one side at a time rather than having glue everywhere. So line the bottom of our tall piece up with the bottom step. Make sure that it's as central as you can, and there we glue that one on there. The reason I did that was because I lined them to line them up properly. I pushed them both onto the mat so that the bottoms of them lined up perfectly. And you flip it over and you just glue this little back piece here just onto the back of the card. So again, just a wee bit of glue there and firm it down. Now, the good thing with this is you also do a practice fold. As I've mentioned many times when I make my fun fold cards, always make sure you practice fold it before the glue dries too far, because you don't want to have one of your folds not quite line up and not be able to close your card down and pop it in an envelope. It sort of defeats the purpose somewhat. What did I say? Just pop on there. As I say, everything's a wee bit blurry at the moment, so forgive me if I miss the the comments. So that's the basis of this card. Well and truly done now. We've got the sort of looks like a centre step. There's our steps. There's the centre there, without all that complicated. When I say complicated, I mean you do it a few times and you know how to do it, so it's not really that bad. But yeah, it's this one's a lot easier. So as with the original that I showed you, I'm going to be using this beautiful, lovely central image from our fragrant flowers. And I've already stamped in black and started to colour this one in. So I thought I'd just finish it with you just to show you the colours and the blend techniques that I've used there. Okay, so the colours I have used are slightly different to the original. I felt the original was a wee bit dark, so I'm sort of lightening it up a bit. I'm using my light and dark Calypso Coral, taking it really lighter with my light Pale Papaya, which is sort of a lightish version of that. You can see the progression there. The leaves were definitely too dark, so I've gone my light Evening Evergreen, because at least then you can still see some of the veins in the leaves. And then I'm lightening up that a couple of shades with my dark and my light soft succulent. So that's what I've used. So we'll just do this last flower and this last leaf and I'll show you. So I'm going to use my brush end, my lovely brush end, and I'm just going to, I'm just not using as much dark this time as I did with the original. And again, as we've said many times, I'm just following the guide, following the guide of the stamp. The stamp tells me where the dark bits are. So that's what I'm going to highlight. But as I say, I'm not going to do huge amounts, just going to have a faint little whisper of it. This is the really dark, okay, this is the darker Calypso Coral. There we are. Then I'll bring in my light Calypso Coral and I'll blend that in. And again, I'm not going to take it, so I can get a little bit of the even lighter colour, just going to take this Calypso Coral to just before the edge, not take it all the way to the edge of the petals. Just blending that dark one in. Obviously, some of these little leaves in the middle, there's not enough room to leave white. I'll try and leave a wee bit, but obviously not very much. The centre of flowers are often darker anyway, aren't they, towards the new petals in the middle. Okay, so that might be enough of that. Now I'll bring in my light Pale Papaya, another in colour that will stop, that will retire. Is that the word, retire? Yes, that will retire at the end of April. One of my favourites. So I will make sure I've got refills and backup cardstock with that one. So I'm just going to put the Pale Papaya just at the very end, the very tips of those leaves, and anywhere else that I've left a little bit of white throughout. There we are. Okay. And that will change slightly as you can see it changes slightly as it dries. So it'll go slightly different as it dries, but that's really, really nice. I love that Pale Papaya, and that's just taken, you can see one of the flowers in the designer series paper is that, not Pale Papaya, that Calypso Coral as well. It's really nice. Okay, so as I say, last leaf will be a combination of light Evening Evergreen. I said the dark was just a bit too dark. I'm just going to pop the dark the evening evergreen just up the centre of the leaf. Then I'll bring in my dark soft succulent, and at the risk of sounding like a broken record, this is one of our retiring in colours as well. It's a shame actually, because I'm actually losing some of my favourite colours. So hopefully there'll be some stunning colours taking their places. So that's the light, dark, soft succulent, and this is my light. I'll just take that right along the edges of the leaves. There we are. Yep, that's better. Okay, so that one's coloured. Make sure that that focuses there. Yep, looks focused with my non-focused eyes. There we are. Now you could oomph that even more, and I'll make sure that that focuses again. You could oomph that more with a bit of Wink of Stella, just to give those flowers a wee bit of sparkle, but I won't bother with this one. So let's bring back our card base. I'm going to pop the flower on the centre there, slightly overlapping the sort of the edge, so that when the card's opened it looks a little bit sort of you know, a little bit 3D effect. But I'm just going to glue that about there. I want to slip the sentiment in underneath, so I'm just going to keep the glue to the centre there. And make sure I put it in roughly the same spot as I did before. There we are. Now you can see why I kept that plainer tone-on-tone paper in the middle there, because I didn't want, you imagine having that really sort of busy paper in there, the flower would just disappear and you wouldn't see it. So that's why I've chosen to do that. Okay. Now, final stay, or well, almost final, is our sentiment. So I've got a serrated circle in Evening Evergreen. So that's from our layered circles. Got the corresponding white circle there. And I'm going to slip those. That's why I've only put glue in the centre. I'm going to slip those underneath there so that they overlap as well. But first of all, what am I going to do? I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So I'll grab my Evening Evergreen. I'm going to just use for this circle just hello, and I might go hello friend in this time rather than hello love. Oh, we haven't put anything on the back. I don't think, did I cut a panel? No, I'm going to have to cut myself the panel for the back. Okay, so hello. And it's going to be sort of, as much as a circle has a top, I've got to pop that towards the top of the circle, because the rest of it will disappear behind the flower. And then friend. Where's friend there? Oh, I don't know if you can hear my radio behind me. There's some weird music on. Sounds like somebody, I don't know, somebody's getting strangled. It's atrocious. Anyway, I'll just pop the friend there and hope for the best. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, so there's our hello friend. I'll just bring that a wee bit closer. Here we are. Now, decision time. I didn't actually back. You can see this one here, I just popped the circle straight on. I didn't actually cut myself the matching Evening Evergreen. So I need to decide whether I bother with it, whether it needs it. Well, I think it actually adds. I just wonder whether it added anything, but I think I quite like that little extra Evening Evergreen there, just to break it up a wee bit. So I'm going to put that in. Didn't give you guys a chance to respond to that one. It's okay. Sometimes decisions are easy. Here we are. And a bit on the back of that one. Make sure that's straightish. Yep. There we are. That all slip down. So as you can see, with our circle overlaps on one side and our little flower overlaps on the other, it sort of adds that sort of interest to the front of the card. It looks like it's a bit magic. There we are. So bling. If we're going to be seem to be featuring so many retiring colours today, I've decided to use the 21 to 23 in colour opal rounds, which are all those lovely in colours that are retiring come the end of April. Our pale papaya, our fresh freesia, our polished pink. You can tell I've used a bit of polished pink, soft saffron, soft succulent, and our evening evergreen. So I'm going to use the evening evergreen ones. Always like to try and use up my retiring colours. I think if anyone's doing my class, I'll show you the class very soon, you'll see that I'm using some of that beautiful fresh freesia in the class. So I'm just going to add some little, these are the nice dark evening evergreen ones. Just add those around. They're quite striking in themselves, actually. One didn't come off right. That's where I want you. Okay, so that's our second card. The bit I didn't cut myself, which I'm going to have to cut, is this wee bit to pop on the back. Because we've got that seam there, I actually quite like to pop the a little white panel on the back just to sort of cover that over. And I know I've got some, I think I've got a scrap of white here somewhere because I only just put it away. Where are you? Oh, my scrap box is getting out of control. One of these days I will actually get organised. So the piece for the back, I think it says in the instructions, will be, what will that be? That's to be 4 wide and I think 3 1/4. Yes, 3 1/4 high. And if we pop that on, just there, you'll see we won't see that seam anymore, and it'll look like we've made our card the hard way. There we are. So you can pop another happy birthday or something on the back there, and no one will ever know. You could pop it if you're not too worried about that. You could also pop, oh, I didn't do it for that one. You could pop your little sentiment in there if you wanted it to be inside the card, but I'll pop it on the back there to cover that little seam. Okay, so that's my faux centre step card, sort of killing two birds, showing you a way to use our beautiful fragrant flowers, which is my product class for the month, showing the ladies how to make your card bases. So when we get together in a week or so, you'll be able to do that pretty simply, hopefully. Yeah, so that's all I needed to show you so far today. I will actually give you a sneak peek of what's happened to that. A sneak peek of the actual product class. So using this fragrant flowers bundle. So just get rid of those product classes. Something's happened to that one. Sticky stuff's come off. Product classes will I do actually feature a particular product, hence the name. So to complete these cards, you will need to purchase at least the stamp set. Even the bundle, if that's what you like to do, you will need at least the stamp set, and then have to fussy cut the flowers out. But these are the 3 cards you will do as part of the fragrant flowers class. You'll get enough to make 2 of each, so 6 cards. And you will need, so you get all the cardstock, the vellum, the bling, everything, the die cuts of the actual sentiment boxes. I'll provide those for you, but you will have to stamp and colour those images. And so yes, so you will need blends. So I've used the fresh freesia blends and the old olive blends. This one uses Daffodil Delight and the Old Olive, and this one's the Fresh Freesia as well. So yeah, so to make those cards, as I say, you'll need the bundle and the blends. But if you have markers or pencils, you can do that as well, as long as you can match the colours up. But as I say, you can purchase all those extra items from me as part of the class at a pretty good discount as well. So that's out my class. This one's got some lovely layers on there, some layers of designer series paper. This one's just got some, it's been run through the embossing folder, which I'll do for you as well, and 3 lovely yellow flowers. And this one's got a stamped background, and which is softened with some vellum, and that beautiful flower that we've just coloured together today. So that's the 3. As I say, you'll get enough to make 2 of each, so 6 cards. I haven't priced it up properly yet, but if you watch my Facebook page, I'll pop the details up, as I say, early next week. Once I've finished with my Fun Fold. Fun Fold closes on Friday, so if you're still keen to jump on that, I need the payment by Friday. So there's no point sort of saying to me you'd like to do it and then not paying. It sounds quite mercenary of me, doesn't it? Yeah, so I'll need payment by Friday so I can move on with my life. Okay, sounds dramatic. All right, guys, thanks very much for joining me today. Have a great the rest of your week, and I will catch you all again on